If you want to learn how to make this adorable dog vest, please stay tuned.
All right, to get started, we're going to use the dog dress pattern that we made in a previous video. If you would like to check that video out, I will link it above. And also some tissue paper or another paper bag, some kind of paper, so that we can make a new pattern. So what I'm going to do is take my tissue paper and I'm going to lay my pattern on top. I'm going to be sure to leave enough paper at the bottom, enough tissue paper at the bottom of this, because we are going to be changing the shape of this pattern a bit. So what I'm going to do is trace all the way around the top portion and the sides of this bodice. But when I get to the bottom, I'm going to bring this down into a W shape to give us the little tails, I suppose you would call them, on a vest. And then down here at the bottom, I'm going to freehand this. So I'm just going to kind of see that the middle is here. I can see it from my crease here. And what I want is to have two kind of V shapes coming down where they come up in the middle. I think I'll start over here and gradually, come down and up. And then if you're worried about drawing it the same on the other side, you don't even have to worry about it because we can cut it on the fold and then it will be symmetrical on both sides. So I'm going to leave it at that. I think that this looks pretty good. I've left a little bit bigger than I think it should be because we will be sewing and leaving some seam allowance. So I think this looks pretty good. Gonna remove that pattern and I'm going to take this and fold it right down the center, fold it in half, and I'm simply gonna follow my trace lines all the way around. Okay, we can go ahead and open up our pattern here. And as you can see, it turned out really great. We've got a nice symmetrical W shape at the bottom, giving us these two little points. And that was so simple. So now I can't wait to cut it out of fabric. I found this really cute red and white gingham print in my stash of material, and I think this will make a really cute little vest. So I'm gonna pin my pattern to it. I've got my material doubled over. That way I will cut out a front and a back. But you could always cut out a second piece out of a more plain material if you don't want to waste your printed material. And once it's all pinned into place, we can cut it out. Okay, so we'll go ahead and pull our pins out here. We've got that all cut out. I think that's going to be so cute. And don't throw away your extra scraps because these can always come in handy, and I believe we'll use part of this for another little portion of this vest in a little bit. So the next step is to turn these two pieces of fabric good side spacing. When I look at this gingham, there really doesn't seem to be one side that looks better than the other. But if you see that you have a printed side and a non-printed side, put the two good sides together. We're gonna bring it over to our sewing machine and sew all the way around this vest, all the way around. But you're gonna wanna leave one portion open, and it's best to do that on a straight edge somewhere because we'll need to pull it all right side out. So you can choose where you're gonna leave that opening. But I think that I will do mine maybe over here towards the bottom. This is pretty straight right here. That way I can pull the vest right side out. So I'm gonna bring it to my sewing machine and sew all the way around using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, I've gone ahead and stitched all the way around the vest, But I did change my mind on where I wanted the opening. I had originally said down here at the bottom, but I went ahead and changed it to the top of the side strap because this will be wrapped around your dog and it will be less noticeable when we close this opening up. So before we turn this fabric right side out, there's a couple little things that you should do to make everything lay nice and flat. Go ahead and take your scissors and cut off the corner of all of these little edges here. It'll give a sharper corner when you turn it right side out. And if you see any excess fabric, if you left a little too much seam allowance. Just be careful not to actually cut into your stitching. Do the same down here on the bottom portion of the vest at these two little points here. And another important step is right here where it comes up to a high point. We're gonna take our scissors and cut all the way up to the stitching, but not through the stitching. So just take your scissors and give it a little snip right up to there. That will help this to all lay down better. And finally, we're gonna put a few notches in the neckline because this is a pretty severe curve and it'll help it to lay down better. So I just fold my fabric in half like that and cut the little corner off without cutting into my stitching. So I do that in just a few spots around the neckline. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now we can go ahead and turn this all right side out using this opening we left. It might take a little work, so you might need to grab something long and pointy, like a knitting needle or chopstick to get all of the straps pointed out and push all your corners out nice and crisp. Look how cute this is turning out. The next best step would be to take this to your iron and iron all of these seams nice and flat. Get all the little seams pulled nice and flat and iron it. And when you're at your iron, go ahead and take this opening and fold those flaps under one time on both sides and iron those nice and flat so that when you take it to your sewing machine, you can simply sew right over the edge, really close to the edge to close it up. So I'm gonna do that right now and I'll be right back. Okay, I've pressed my whole vest and as you can see here, I've closed the opening up that was right here. I just did a little bit of white thread all the way across with my sewing machine very close to the edge. If you look closely, you can notice it. I'm not bothered by that because it'll be underneath the dog's body. So at this point, we could just add our Velcro closures and call it a day, but I think it still needs a little something. And what I think would be really adorable is a little bow tie right here, or maybe even some buttons. So I'm gonna dig around in my stash and see what I can come up with. Okay, if you're like me, you have a whole bucket of buttons. I know, I'm crazy. A lot of these were given to me from my mother, so there are buttons from many a year ago. And as I dug through here, I found these really cute kind of vintage buttons. I just love them. There's even some old thread stuck in them, so I'm gonna take my seam ripper and remove this old thread, and I think that these will be really cute on the vest. I'm not sure if I want to use 2 or 3 of these buttons because I also quickly whipped up a little bow tie that I want to put on here. So I'm trying to decide if I'm going to put 3 buttons pretty close together with a bow tie up there, or maybe just do 2. I think I'm gonna go with 2 buttons. I don't know, I just think that looks cuter. And so I'm gonna go ahead and hand stitch these on as well as the bow tie. That looks adorable. So our final step is to add on our Velcro closures. I'm gonna do that and then we'll bring over Posey and try this on her because I don't have a male dog. Of course, you could put this on a female dog if you want, but I think it has a little more of a masculine look. So I'm gonna try it on Posey and then I'm gonna gift it to a friend of mine that has a dog that is Posey's size and is a male. Before I try this on Posey, I just wanted to point out that I went ahead and added extra long Velcro to the straps in order to accommodate a dog a little bit bigger than Posey or maybe even smaller. There's a little wiggle room when you add a larger Velcro closure because I could have it out here or I could have it all the way on or I could even bring it even tighter. And I also want to point out that I put the rough side on the top of the fabric and the soft side on the bottom, which just dawned on me. I accidentally put this soft side on the top too. It's supposed to go on the bottom. That way, when it wraps around the dog, this rough side never touches their skin or their fur. But the softer one, if it happened to touch their body, it wouldn't irritate them because it's soft. So really quickly, I'm gonna go ahead and use my seam ripper, take this one off and add it to the bottom since I made that mistake, and then we'll try it on Posey. Okay, there you have it. How adorable did this vest turn out? I just love it. It was actually so simple to make. And if you need help learning how to make the pattern, don't forget to refer back to my other video that teaches you how to take your dog's measurements and draw the pattern out. And all we did today was alter it a bit by adding these little points at the end, and I think it turned out so adorable. I hope that you guys will give this project a try. It is just too dang cute.